Running Sentences presents Miles to Go, Part 8. Challenging Roads. Hiram follows his orders to deliver themselves to the headquarters, which he's never actually visited. It can't be good if they're calling him in, but maybe it isn't so bad. This story is written and narrated by Michael Hiram. It is a work of fiction, so any names, characters, businesses, events, and situations within this story are products of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to real people, situations, characters, businesses, events, and/or fictional businesses, characters, events, and so on and so forth is purely coincidental. Copyright 2026. Michael Hiram. All rights reserved. A long stretch of road had been interrupted by a long chain-link fence, two in fact, that went off to the sides and disappeared from view. Then cutting across this road and guarding both was a guardhouse. Hiram pulled up his car to the gate and the doorway to the building. A guard in a tan uniform soon appeared and looked him over. "Apologies, I was told to come here by a phone call via my boss. I've never been here, though, before." "What's your name?" the guard asked in response. "I'm Hiram, and this is Miss Lindsay. We're expected by Mr. Lark." The guard studied them for a second more, then leaned back into the house to check something on the wall. He glanced back at them a few times before nodding. "Follow the road. You'll find the HQ. Do not turn off this main road for any reasons. I will repeat that. Do not turn off the road." "Okay, that's weird, but fine. I'll drive straight until I see the building." The guard nodded to him as the gate opened up, allowing them in. It took them a bit of a drive to get to the building they were looking for, a cylinder of a building that rose suddenly out of nowhere in the height of 7 stories, which was connected to fins that looked like airplane blades. These fins connected near the top, and then came downwards, touching the ground in a curve that circled all around this cylinder, casting nice shadows about the place. Hiram had pulled the car to a stop in the massive parking lot and sat with Lindsay, admiring the structure, as it wasn't really a full parking lot, but there were quite a few cars here. A fancy building out in the middle of nowhere where no one can admire it, and stuck behind a lot of fencing miles away, Hiram added to her comment. "You work for weird people." "I guess so. I've only met a few agents and have never been here, so it is all a mystery of weirdness to me. Should we get out of this car and see the person who called me?" "Well, it's the entire reason we're here. It would be a bit silly to decide to drive away now." He shrugged. "Figured I'd offer and see what you had to say." A long walk from the parking lot to the lobby of this building, which took a little work to find, left them exhausted. The clean interior of the space was sparse and had little other than a desk and a robot acting as a guard, or a check-in space. They shared a look with one another as they approached it uncomfortably and unsure of it. "Welcome," the robot said. "Hi, I was called here by Mr. Lark. Is he available?" "He may be. Who is this with you, and does she have permission to be here?" "My name is Lindsay, and I do, thank you." The security team did let you pass the gate, but I don't have any records of you. This is most unusual and weird. It must be solved before you can move on." "Well, she's here because of me. Isn't that enough to let her pass by?" This square, green screen face, which continually moved about, looking at them, getting closer and then moving back away, paused for a moment. "You are not a full-time member of the organization. I cannot allow that to happen, sir." "What do you mean I'm not a full-time member?" Hiram asked, surprised. "You work for us as a contractor, which means you have little access to this space." Hiram turned to look at Lindsay, annoyed that this robot was saying such things about his work. He thought of himself as a very hard worker who did all he could for this establishment, and this was how they were going to treat him. Lindsay only offered a smirk of amusement, adding to his annoyance. "Are you in contact, robot, with Mr. Lark? Let him know that we're here and that he needs to come clear this up." Already done, miss. I'm just waiting for confirmation. An elevator dinged nearby, and from it stepped a man in a crisp-looking suit with a tired expression on his face. He nodded to them and came over, though he signaled that they should step outside and not further in. Thank you for your good work, robot. I'll take it from here. Happy to be of assistance to you, Mr. Lark. They sought out some protection from the setting sun by hiding under one of the massive blades that the building had outside. Mr. Lark had pulled out a cigarette and started smoking away as quickly as he could. It's nice to finally meet you. I suppose it is, Mr. Hiram. We have a lot of problems, though. Do you want or need me for this? It sounds like a matter I might not or should not be hearing about. You're fine where you are, Miss Lindsay. As for things, let's say, all of it is falling apart. Lark grumbled. And what exactly do you mean by that, Mr. Lark? Hiram took a look about the place, suddenly not trusting anything he saw. It looked solid, but it was all falling apart? He couldn't really wrap his head around it. People are catching on to what we're doing, which is putting everyone at risk. Oh, do you mean regular people, or exactly who do you mean? Lindsay asked. The government who likes things the way they are finally has figured out a few things, Miss Lindsay. And what exactly are those few things? Why, they keep having money disappear on them. A sinking feeling hit Hiram as he wondered where exactly all the money that he'd been given was coming from. It was clearly a question and thought that he should have had before. Have you been taking money directly from their bank accounts, Mr. Lark? Is that what this place does? Hiram asked, wanting an answer at the same time, really thinking an answer was a bad idea to get. Something like that, Mr. Hiram. To me, it sounds like there's a lot more going on, Lindsay said. Lark gave a nod to Lindsay's question and looked up at the sky, changing colors as night was coming. From the bank accounts of the leader of our country, they're rich enough not to notice most of the time. Except, clearly they have now, Lark? What is the plan for this organization? We do what we do until we run out of money and find a new source of it. That doesn't sound like much of a plan, Lindsay complained. This organization will be fine. It's the people who work on the ground that we're worried about. You now really will have more people out on the lookout for you, and that's why I called you in. Things are about to get nasty for those out on the road. Hiram tried to look over at Lindsay, concerned now about her welfare. This might be your last stop with me then, Miss Lindsay. Are you abandoning me here? She demanded to know. More of a reassignment to a safer spot. It's only going to get more dangerous out there. She turned to Lark, waving a finger in its face. Do not assume that I do not know how to live with danger. I've had it come crashing down on me ever since I was born. The way this government sets itself up to dictatorship with no controls over local government has caused immense issues and trouble for everyone. I know, Miss Lindsay, but it's best not to risk such things. You're willing to risk Mr. Hiram here, though. Hiram raised his hand to interject into the conversation, but the two were busy facing one another to notice. Instead, to try and draw their attention, he tried to cough, which still did nothing. He finally gave up and just spoke up. Excuse me. What is it, Hiram? I think we're being joined by some people coming out the front door. Lark spun away to take a look at these two men approaching them, who had wires dangling from their ears. They came to a stop several feet away, hands reaching for something hidden in their jacket coats. Is there a problem here, Mr. Lark? One of the new arrivals asked. A debate about things, mister, and I'm not in any form of trouble with these two. Good, you're needed by the director. Lark stared at him for a moment, but nodded. Alrighty, alright. Thank you, Agent. I've warned these two, and, well, Mr. Hiram, Mr. Lindsay, you're free to do what you will, but be careful, as there are a lot of people out there looking for you now. Mr. Lark then hurried back towards the front entrance of the building, leaving the two standing alone. Lindsay nudged him with her elbow and had a wry, sour look on her face. Can you believe that? Yeah, his job is to keep workers safe, especially potentially new ones like yourself. But nary a care for you. How long have you been working at this sort of work, by the way? I guess 2 years now. And you're willing to let them treat you like that? It's fine. Not much to lose or gain by going out there, so why not try to keep making people's lives better? She waved her hand in front of his face, and he flinched back a step. Stop that. I don't know much about your past, and I probably should know some of it, but that type of depression is depressing. You want my story as to why I'm out here? You know most of mine. It would be nice to know something about you other than goody two-shoes handing out money. He had to shake his head a little bit at the dig and wordplay directed at him. There was no way he could ignore that, but it was best to let such things go. My family, and by them I mean my parents and the sister, were taken by the government 4 years ago. I wasn't home at the time, but, like you, was stuck in a small town. I got home from a shit job, but I found the place empty, aside from bloodstains on the ground. What the fuck? She said, biting her lip and looking very worried. Pretty much my reaction. I got so scared and sick at the sight that I grabbed a suitcase, some stuff that I had really, and booked it out of there. Geez, so you're running towards death since it seems like a better option? Because who cares if you get caught? That's what I'm getting? She asked, looking really concerned. He made a bit of a face at that. What she said was right, but not totally right. It isn't that simple. I'm not really trying to head towards death, he offered, though he knew it felt weak. Doing your best to ignore that it is there, then? That, I think, is a more likely option, I fear. It's out there, I can't control it, though I may want to. I also don't want to put anyone else in danger. She started storming her way back towards the car, and he hurried to follow after her. That is a lie. How is it a lie? He asked. You put anyone and everyone around you in trouble by offering them money. You put me in danger simply by asking if I wanted to go with you, and by trying to give me money. I think you're a danger to everyone simply by existing. Well, that's not fair. Isn't that what you want, though? To be in danger? I said I'm not seeking it, but what I'm saying is that it's part of my life, and it might happen at any point. At least recognize that you're putting others in danger as well. There are no ill intentions, yes, Lindsay. People get harmed by my actions, as is the case for everyone in my opinion. Just being around people, and I mean this for everyone, can be a danger. Yet you don't want to put me in danger despite already doing so? She had stopped marching towards the car, swinging around to talk to him, anger etched up and down her face as she said this. I admit that doesn't sound right. No, it just sounds like you and only you are allowed to think about how to get others out of the way. I'm sorry. You're free to do whatever you wish. They stood not far from his car, which looked terribly compared to the other neat, albeit beige and grey-looking cars that were around it. We move on and try to help people where and when we can. No deciding for ourselves that we need to push ourselves into situations like only we matter. You mean only I matter? We better not fall into that sort of thought. Also, no getting weirdly depressed like you are now. It doesn't do us any good, and it's weird. How is feeling down about things weird? He complained. In and of itself, not weird. Your sudden switch into this mood caught me off guard, and I don't like seeing it, or to see it in anyone. Hiram found himself frustrated and walking over to get into the front of the car. The only thing to do was drive to the next town and maybe something about him, even though something about him really didn't want to. They spent the night getting to the highway and then heading for that next town. The road was quiet and unused except for their car, and occasionally another one zooming on past. Hiram decided it was best not to speak, since all he'd been doing lately was making himself look like an idiot. Signs and roads slipped by until he was fighting back a yawn and spotted a pull-off area for a rest stop. He got into a parking spot and turned off the car, looking about the rather busy spot. It made him uneasy as he elbowed Lindsay gently. She woke up instantly and looked about as he got out of the car. There were a few men who were gathered near a picnic table, watching them as he did get out of the car from their spot in this rest area. "Hi, what's going on there?" Hiram called out. "Meeting of the minds. You been invited?" "No, looking for a spot to rest for a little while. Is that okay if we do?" "No, you better move on. Strangers aren't liked around here, nor do they stick around here for long thanks to the danger of this area." "Why is that?" Lindsay asked. "'Cause you cause nothing but trouble," the stranger said. Having just had this conversation a couple of hours ago, Hiram and Lindsay shared a look to one another. Well, can we at least relax here for a few minutes? We'll be on our way then." "He needs a place to stop and stretch and rest his legs, and then I'm taking over the driving. Nothing wrong with stopping, right?" The group of men eyed them very carefully, the dim light from the overhead street lamps casting eerie shadows all around them. They did not look like a friendly group from there. "You got something that will encourage us to leave you alone?" one of the strangers demanded. We could certainly think of something, but what exactly are you thinking of that will encourage this?" Hiram asked. "A good show of faith." Hiram spotted Lindsay reaching for something in her pocket, and fearing that what it might be, he rushed to get his wallet out, then pulled out a few crisp bills and held them out. My offer of faith." "Those look rather new from what I can see, mister." "We robbed a place," Lindsay offered. "And now you're trying to dump that money onto us?" Lindsay shrugged and then responded, "A few free bills for leaving us alone to stretch. That may seem like a good trade, and you can easily say that some strangers came through here and just gave it to you and then point off down the highway." "Cops might still come down on us for having it, though," the stranger growled. "Well, it's your choice, but I can give you a little more just to let us walk around for a bit, or you can lose out on some money that might help your families." "2 crisp bills for each of us," the leader of this group and the only one talking demanded. There were, from what Hiram judged, about 5 or 6 men sitting in the shadows of this light. All of them were not the nicest looking dudes who probably wouldn't hesitate to take up action if they felt inclined to do so. Lindsay was quick to step forward, producing some more money from her pockets, and tossed it on the ground in front of the group. It was not a move that Hiram felt would go over well, but it was too late, so he threw his money on top of those bills and stepped back. "I don't know if that's enough, but it should do nicely. It's all we have. Now we're just going to go for a little walk, use the restroom, and be on our way, okay?" Hiram asked and put up his hands in a "I'm not going to do anything to harm you" sort of way. "We shall see, mister." We will be in and out of here before you know it." Backing their way towards the restroom, they kept their eyes on the men who didn't make a move. At that spot where they were almost into the doors of the place, they turned to one another. "Quick break and then run?" he asked her. "Only thing that makes sense. Can I have the keys?" He tossed them over to her, which she quickly caught, and then slipped into the bathroom. Hiram then stood his ground, keeping his eyes on things, with the thought that they probably wouldn't be good for both to go in at the same time. After a few minutes, she emerged, and he went in, dealing with things and then coming out as quickly as he could. "Everything's still good out here?" Those gentlemen haven't even moved to pick up the money. Weird, but okay, let's get out of here. And why the fuck did you say you robbed a bank or a place? It's just what came to me. Do we stop at this town that's beyond there? I think we probably keep moving on to the next one. After all, they warned us away, didn't they? He replied. Just wanted to make sure that their words to heart. Knowing what little I do of you, I figured you might want to stop and try and change everything and everyone's life here, while risking your life. I am not that bad, Lindsay. The two, though, moved at a steady pace to their car, the watchful eyes of the men always on them. There was no trouble caused, and they got into their car and were soon driving off like nothing happened. They drove through the rest of the late night, Hiram unable to fall asleep much, keeping an eye out for the police or anyone else to show up. He caught some winks here and there, and they were soon arriving at a bridge that went off a plateau looking like a gorge down towards a dirty and broken looking town below. Well, this looks like a great place to not stop, Lindsay pointed out. It's a small town of ruins from what I can tell. The highway cuts right through it after the bridge, but I don't think I even want to drive through there. It feels like one of those old apocalyptic movies or something. All boarded up and waiting for the heroes to come rescue it and save it? Hiram said. Yeah, exactly like that. But we're no heroes, and I don't think anyone could save this sort of place, Lindsay said with a shake of her head. Some places are better left to their fates, and once they die, then they can be rebuilt. She looked over at him surprised and with raised eyebrows. I didn't think you could think such things, Mr. Money. I know there are limits to everything, Lindsay. You can only push and help so much before it all falls apart. A loud truck blared on past, honking its horn as they went. It had come up from one of the exits to the town, which they were now cruising past on the raised highway. What's that truck's problem? Town members who don't like people on their highway? Is it theirs in the first place? According to them, probably yes. Anything anyone else says probably doesn't matter to them. Let's just speed up and get out of here. Lindsay did as was requested of her, putting her foot down hard on the gas, though the engine didn't respond as quickly as either would have liked. It took them to the early afternoon to find a place to pull off and get some fuel. The thirsty car was almost empty by the time they pulled in and filled it back up. The service worker was keeping an eye on them as they did, wringing their hands with a dirty rag. You two headed somewhere? Lindsay, who was filling the gas tank, cocked her head to the side, thinking for a moment. Where the road takes us. People don't do that sort of thing anymore. We're lucky enough to get to do it, she offered in response. Nope. The only types of people who come through here are the government or the local authorities. Which one of those are you? And don't tell me you're lucky people, that sort of thing is bullshit. We are just traveling, Hiram said, and then continued. I don't see why that's such a big deal. You think I buy that, mister? Yes, why not buy that two people who've had some success in life want to see what it has to offer? Lindsay answered. No one has seen that luxury in years. I would have seen it. Hell, the town back there would have been revived if that were true. The worker grumbled. Well, we're the first of many, a new trend to make the world and land a better place. The workers shook their head no at Hiram's words. Whatever you fools say isn't the truth, but I ain't gonna stop you. Just give you a warning. About what? Lindsay asked, confused. The man pointed off down the highway towards the direction where they were going. Police have a blockade up on the highway ahead. Nothing goes that way unless you have their permission. You two don't look like the type that would get past them. It's a big blockade? Hiram asked. Covers both lanes of a 2 lanes on either side of it. No getting around it. Well, that is weird. Yep, and it was set up recently, too. I'm guessing that the cops came by and told you all of this, Mr. Worker? Why would they set up that sort of thing? Well, they did. Said something about stopping the world from getting mad with money. Not sure what that meant, but it sounded serious, and they wore dour expressions on their faces. Hiram and Lindsay shared a look of worry and surprise. Is there an exit before this blockade, or no? Lindsay asked. You looking to get around them? The worker asked back. Unsure what to say at first, Hiram offered a shrug, then figured it out. Who doesn't like avoiding the cops at all turns possible? The worker in his stained coveralls with grease all over them rose from his seat with a grin. You're up to no good? Yes, maybe, depending on the road and the track you put us on. Hey, there's a place, secret one. A few people know about it, but you should be able to use it. This is an off-cut road that leads to a long, winding journey. A little dangerous at night, though. Well, it sounds better than dealing with the cops. Yep. Anyway, you'll see a sign announcing 2 miles to the Gangor Bridge. Just behind that is a lot of bushes and a little road. The blockade is on that bridge, or right before it anyway. Where does this little road take you? Used to go to an old mining town, miss. And beyond that to a bridge that was supposed to be out of action. Still works for most cars, and for most people trying to avoid things. Hiram got a sinking feeling in his stomach that this was probably not a good situation to go into, but he didn't really have a choice, did he? One last question before we head off. Has that bridge that you just described, the one in the old mining town, it's been used lately, right? Believe so, yes. Can't be totally sure, but a few people I know who like using it who passed through here recently. Thank you for that, then. Lindsay said this and then offered cash for the gas, plus a little extra, which the worker took with a smile and a nod. The bumpy off-road they found made things uncomfortable as they drove it. Hiram was back behind the wheel and had easily found the spot that they'd been directed to and onto that road. But now going through thick woods on a narrow road, it was feeling dangerous. You look worried. General fear of driving down the wrong road on a road that's too narrow for a car, he grumbled. You think that worker lied to us? No, I think this road feels weird, and I'm worried about the bridge up ahead is out. What's the plan if it is, though? She asked. Try and find another road out of here. Lindsay paused for a second thinking, and then came back with, didn't there used to be a system that had all these roads mapped out that would tell us where things were? We don't really have that anymore, do we? Hiram nodded yes. It went down when the government started making cuts as they were running things like a business. I heard that most people just didn't want to pay anymore to use it, so eventually it wound up disused and it was just shut down or something like that. Where did you hear that? My boss, Mr. Lark, told me about it, I think. Maybe I made the whole thing up, but it sounds about right. The woods cleared away to reveal that little mining town that they'd been told about, stuck in the side of a small hill. The mine entrance was set up some 60 feet on it. Beyond that lay some steeper hills looking into the mountains, and in the other direction a grassy land that had a river cutting through it. There was a small bridge that sat across that river. I don't know much about mining, but don't they usually put the entrance to the mine down near the bottom when they're mining a mountain? I think so. I don't know anything about mining either. We really don't know much, do we? They let the conversation die as they drove through town, and then the last bits of it were gone before they knew it. Hiram stopped the car right before the bridge. It had a gate with a warning sign strapped to it that said "Do not enter." Beyond, a rusty metal structure and wooden planking, all of it looking in a really bad state. End of Part 8 of miles to go. Thank you for listening.